All right, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Morning. Happy Thursday to you all. Wave meteorologist Brian Good. Welcome to Storm Talk on this Thursday, 27th day of April. Special shout out to my niece, Kirsten. Turns 18 again. So congrats, Kirsten. Hope you're doing well. I doubt she's watching because she's a teacher, and I'm sure she is busy right now. I hope you guys are doing well on this Thursday. Not a bad start today, right? We've had a little bit of sun outside, and we know clouds are going to fill in, and we know rain's on the way. But for the next several hours, I think we're actually in relatively good shape here. Nice and comfortable outside, and I still think we'll get into the 60s and 70s here today before we have to deal with more rain, of course, kind of cooling things down. Now, there have been some changes, though, on that rain chance for tonight, mainly on timing and amounts. Amounts have changed. We'll discuss that. Plus, we're going to go through, this is a big update today, guys. We're going to be going all the way through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm going to show you the latest thinking on the events if you're going to anything that is planned, and a lot of you are. And then we'll get into the setup for Derby week, which still has a lot more questions than anything on it, but still the overall theme is there. So I'll give you guys an update there. As always, you guys can chime in at any point, questions, concerns. Jonathan, does anyone else remember Insomniac Storm Talk? I remember that. I loved Insomniac Storm Talk because at that point I just rambled even way more than I do now, but certainly at 2 o'clock in the morning, it was fun. I need to bring that back. Maybe I will next week, because next week, just FYI, I will be on Sunrise next week, not on my normal afternoon shows. Now, the blog will still happen as normal time here, but on the TV side, I will be in the mornings. So just FYI, but may have to do one. So thanks for reminder. Good reminder there from Jonathan. Travis, you're 34 degrees way up there in northern Indiana. Yeah, I bet you were up there. Hello to Peggy. Hope all is well there. Peggy's laughing. And then we got Michelle. Good morning to Michelle. All right, so let's start with the current setup. We'll do that. We'll take a look outside at our SkyTrack camera there. That's the Waterfront Plaza in downtown. A lot of contrails in the area, so kind of a hazy look to the sky, but it's not bad at all, as I mentioned, as you step out the door there. Currently, we've got that mix of haze and high clouds streaming in. Notice the rain. I doubt much of this is even reaching the ground to the west of us, but that's the leading edge of the system coming our way. So you can already tell by looking at this, we're fine all the way through lunch. So good news there, which was expected. That part was good. Now we get into the wider view. This is where we got our system that's kind of split in several different pieces. This is the main upper low itself trying to move into the east. That's going to be the main driver for rain for us in the next 12 to 18 hours. Meanwhile, you've got a wall of rain that is actually tracking more to the southeast on the Gulf states, kind of separating out from our low pressure. But boy, I tell you what, the past couple of days, especially, it has been wild. I'm sure you guys have heard all the hail reports that hit Florida the past couple of days, tennis ball size hail. At one point, the outlook from the Storm Prediction Center for Florida was for hail up to apple size coming down. Anywhere from Disney World all the way to the Space Coast. in around Daytona. Had a lot of reports of hail there. Busy night with hail, large hail into Texas, just south of Dallas. So they've been getting hit hard, mainly with a lot of hail, very little in the way of tornado action with this kind of a setup. But the severe risk today is going to be found mainly closer to the southeast side of where that low is. Really, it's going to be two areas to watch. One's going to be where it's split off, heading toward Atlanta. The other is going to be in the southeast side of that low. In fact, this is where the Storm Prediction Center does have a new outlook out. This actually just updated a few minutes ago. So they were not in a slight risk in Memphis. Now they are. But you see the idea. It's a southeast corner. You don't want to be in that southeast corner. That would be the American flag box area that I always talk about. That's the spot they are in. That will be working its way more east, but approaching our area tonight. So there will not be a prime heating with that as it moves by here. So that's the reason why we don't have to worry about it. In fact, the severe risk doesn't really ramp up again until later tomorrow in the evening hours when the low gets much more to the east, and that'll kick up along the Carolinas. But even there, it's a pretty low risk. All right, so we're not concerned on the severe side. But I'm going to walk you through this hour by hour. You can see we're dry this afternoon. Let me rewind that back. Here we go this afternoon. Here we go to 3 o'clock. Now, what will happen in the afternoon hours, we're going to get the green blips showing up on the radar, approaching from the southwest. The thing is, we still got quite a bit of dry air at play. So as the rain approaches, it will likely be less intense than what the radar looks like it's showing. Initially, that'll be the case. Some of that will be evaporating. That will cool the air down. So we'll see our 60s, low 70s ease back fairly quick into the upper 50s as we get that rain-cooled air and saturate. And once we saturate, that's when the rainfall will start to pick up in intensity, especially when we get some of those yellows and some of the reds. Some thunder is possible. Can't rule it out. I'm not going to say it's not going to thunder. I think that is possible, but most of that would be moderate rainfall moving through Kentucky. So the time period right now that stands out for the main chunk of rain for a lot of you that are watching is going to be, I would say, 5 p.m. through midnight. 5 p.m. through midnight. So this evening is the window that we're looking at for the highest of the rain chance, the most intense of it as well. That's the window we're looking at. After we get past midnight, it's still a rain chance, but it becomes much more off and on. So some of you may not see much more after that. Some of you may get a quick downpour because here's the center of the low. You'll be able to see it on the radar. It'll be spinning perhaps right over Grayson County. The center actually may even pass right over downtown Louisville at some point on Friday morning. But you'll be able to see the spin. If you don't on the radar, you should by the satellite tomorrow. We'll take a look at that about this time tomorrow and see what it looks like. But when we do have that, you'll end up with some showers that will kind of curl around it. So you can get a few downpours on the southeast side, a few showers in Indiana. These will be moving backwards. They'll be heading west because the flow is counterclockwise around that low. So be mindful of that. The storm threat in the afternoon, if there were to be another round of storms, it could produce maybe some pea-sized hail. That should be mainly eastern Kentucky. For a lot of us, we're going to already be switching over to the cooler side because of that counterclockwise flow. So drizzle, maybe. That's not the best. Maybe some spotty drizzle here and there, a little bit of a gusty wind. Temperatures will start to ease back through the 50s. So relatively cool evening hours expected as we enter Friday. Setting the stage for what looks to be good running weather for the marathon and for the balloons as well. I'll show you that in a second. But for the runners, I don't know if it'll be in the 40s, but I would say right around 49, 50 degrees for the runners early in the day on Saturday. And we'll actually have a chance to get into the 60s, perhaps even into the 70s for the midday, early afternoon hours on Saturday. So Saturday morning, midday looks pretty good. The problem is Saturday afternoon and night. We get some interaction. I'll show you this in a different form, but there's a low to our south. And we're getting a backlash of a low to the north there, another little wave. In between is a boundary right through here. That may kick up some spotty areas of either drizzle or a brief shower. That would be for the evening hours for Saturday. So yes, that would include opening night at Churchill Downs, but it's going to be brief, relatively light, not anything that's going to be a game changer as far as your plans there. May somewhat influence the track, maybe. The track has such an incredible drainage system that this is such a spotty light rain. I don't think it's probably going to still be a fast track, even with some light rain falling. So, but just something thinking about as you're out there making your bets. But something we'll watch again is that little boundary right there in between the two. And then, yeah, that next little spoke there you see, that is the setup for Sunday. More on that in a second. Quick update on the rainfall potential for today into tonight. We don't see as many of the models now going above the 1 inch mark. Yesterday, quite a few going to 1 to 2 inches. Now we're seeing a lot of them are focusing more on the half-inch spot. Only one is up there at an inch. But the models have eased back on the rain totals, mainly because instead of the one wave was planned to come in tonight, it was the second overnight wave with the little curl. The models were varying a little bit on how much that would produce, and that was really skewing the totals certainly higher. If that were to redevelop again later on tonight, early tomorrow, then we could get some higher totals. But this initial wave looks like it's a half-incher type of deal, maybe 3/4 as it passes through wave country. Hope that made sense. All right, so let's get into balloon events here, BALLOONFEST. I'm going to throw them all in here. We got a condition there on the right-hand side. Now, the rush hour balloon race Friday morning is going to be a bit of a challenge. Things could still change here, but I do think there will be some showers around. Placement's tough to call. I don't think the wind's going to be overly strong, but the ceiling, they've got a limit of about 1,500 feet, and we may have some pretty low clouds here on Friday morning, so that may be one of the issues as far as trying to get them to fly. So the rush hour race right now is not looking the greatest, but we'll watch it and see how things trend today. 58 degrees. For the balloon glow Friday night, I don't see much of a rain chance other than maybe some spotty drizzle. I do think it will be getting chilly, though, so keep that in mind, especially with the west wind along the Ohio River, nearly the same direction we had at Thunder over Louisville. So if you're out at Thunder over Louisville in downtown, you remember the wind. It won't be as strong as that, but you remember that cool wind off the river coming into especially the Kentucky side, then dress accordingly and you'll be fine. Because at this point, we don't think it's enough wind that would impact the glow itself from happening, but certainly dress warm. We get into the balloon race, dress warm for that. Not as much wind. I think the ceiling looks good and no problems with visibility. So the balloon race actually looks to be the best right now of the three. The marathon, again, good running weather. I don't see any major issues with that. You see small rain chance. The model's doing that. It's kicking in at 9 and 10 a.m. I'm going to take that out. I don't see any rain chance at all for that first part of Saturday. I think it's Saturday afternoon, evening we're talking about. Saturday morning, I think it's fine. So good running weather for sure. Opening out Churchill Downs, there's where we get that little chance for a brief shower that could move through the area. Could still get warm, though, before that takes over, right around 70 or so as you're arriving. And then we'll cool back down into the 60s throughout the evening hours. All right, is everyone good on that part? Type 1 if you're good all the way through opening night. Type 2 if you're tired of me telling you to type something. Type 2 if you're tired of that. Good morning, Patricia. Hope all is well. Amy, what's your question? What needs to happen to get us out of this cold pattern? I'm tired of freezing at the ball field. I need warmer weather in my life. I agree. We will get into a warmer pattern once we get these lows out of here. But when you're in a block like this, it is tough to do. Again, this is an unusual block for late April and the longest duration, an intense one too, that I've seen since the mid-1990s. So there's not a lot of data for us to go with on what can kick this out of here, because we normally don't have a lot of data for that. But the trend is to get this all to kind of fall apart. Eventually a warmer pattern will get established, and then we'll jump right into summer. You guys know how this works. All right, everyone seems good. All right, let's move on. We'll get into what I call between two ferns. Ryan Hoke, I don't think got the joke. He didn't laugh. I thought it was funny. But we'll do between two O's. As we head into your Saturday night, there is the interaction. That's the reason why there is a rain chance Saturday night. It's not so much of the main low itself north. It's the interacting part here as these two work together to try to team up. They create a bit of a wind field. You can get some showers that form at that point Saturday night and on Sunday. Sunday afternoon and evening, this looks a lot like Thunder Louisville type setup where we had a strong gusty northwest wind. You had some sunshine around, and then the clouds filled in the afternoon. The wind was strong, a few passing showers possible, and it really got chilly out. The Pegasus Parade feels like it would be a lot like Thunder as far as the look does. The difference is you're not on the water, right at the water. So you'll have at least some insulation of being more inland, right? That helps. And with a west-northwest wind, now a due west wind would take the wind straight down Broadway, and that's not good for the inflatables. It makes them very difficult to manage. In this case, being a northwest wind, the wind will kind of come in between the buildings, which at times may be a challenge when they're going through intersections. They may feel like these are professionals. They know what they're doing. They train for this. They're out there, I'm sure, training even today. But they're good about handling how to maneuver the inflatables there. But for you in the crowd, just be mindful. I would not stand. Try to avoid an intersection or a roadway that has access to the river looking that way. Try to get insulated by a building on your north side as much as you can, and you won't feel as much of that northwest push there, and you'll be fine. So placement is key. So plan your spots accordingly there. Temperature, I think we'll get close to 59, maybe up to 60 as we head toward early in the day, but we will drop as we head into the evening hours during the parade as that wind ramps up. And again, a few spotty showers will be possible. Dress, even though it's 50s here, dress for the 40s. Dress for the 40s. My advice. Dress the 40s and you'll be comfortable. Okay. And we'll have everyone's out there. The whole crew's out there for the most part. So you'll see a lot of us out in the crowd. So make sure to wave and pull us off to the side. Myra and myself, I know, will be right there on the street trying to find some of you guys. All right. That gets us through all of the Derby events for the weekend. Now, what about next week? Derby week, we have a low pressure that starts to approach there on Pegasus Parade Day. When we get into Monday and Tuesday, this is the yucky part of the forecast. This is the worst of it. It's Monday, Tuesday. It parks in our region, and when that happens, we end up with a cloudy sky, overcast, patchy drizzle, strong gusty winds of 30 to 35 miles per hour, and highs barely above 50, which means wind chills will be about 43 for Monday and part of Tuesday. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Monday, not going to feel good. Monday's going to make you think I'm going to start up the fireplace kind of thing. That's the way it's trending right now. No, it's not going to snow, but this blue line indicates the cold weather for sure. You see it does lose its grip a little more as we get into Wednesday. And then we get into the challenge that we talked about yesterday on Thursday. Another low, you got to keep in mind, these low pressures, you remember the map I showed the other day, they keep repeating themselves over and over. There's on a loop, right? Well, there is a point where there's a gap in that loop, and that is where we have a high right over the Gulf of Mexico, and it wants to try to throw in moisture and warm air quickly as it can. I mean, it's fast. Straight from Texas into the Ohio Valley before the next low will drop down and try to push down onto that area. That happens fast. The models are having a really tough time, and it doesn't surprise me they would because it's a very odd setup, but they're trying to fight this out on how that would play out for THURBY. So at the moment, the way it's trending right now, as we get into THURBY night, especially in early Oaks morning, there's the high. You see the red is some of the thunderstorm fuel. It tries to throw a moisture field in our area. The problem is the wind flow. Let me redraw this. Hold on. The wind flow coming from and around that high, being clockwise, it actually is coming in from Mexico through Missouri, not the Gulf of Mexico up I-65. Huge difference there. You don't have as much of a strong moisture source with that direction. So the moisture tries to get pulled in from Central America, but it will likely start to fade out. It will still try to connect all the way over to the mid-Atlantic. But that's important. You know, if the high moves at all and we get more of a south flow out of, say, even around Houston, anywhere that the body of water in the Gulf of Mexico can have access to get it wrapped around and pull it in our area will make a difference in whether or not there is an infusion of moisture ahead of this low dropping down for THURBY into Oaks morning or not. At the moment, this kind of a setup would really limit how much moisture can get pulled, because here comes the low that will drop down and you really don't see much rain, but if you had to connect it, here's the low here, and there's the connecting point, and that will get pushed down to the south, which would improve the weather on sky condition throughout the rest of Oaks into Derby Day, but it would allow for a cooler setup. How cool? 60s. Not bad. 60s actually is relatively comfortable, and that would last perhaps another several days. It may take until Mother's Day until we get out of this pattern altogether. So the breakdown, the rain chance, this is still early, and I'm going to work on this today, and we'll see if we need to make some adjustments. But you can see we're going to at least allow for the idea for THURBY afternoon and THURBY night that there could be some moisture that may make it wrapped in around that high into our area for some showers. It's possible, but once that high begins to settle down, will dry out. So that would be the drying trend. I'm hoping we can take these green bars, not only lower them down, but also narrow the window down of how many there are. That's the goal. I don't control this, but that's the goal I like to see happen, and it could happen certainly as we get a little closer, but at least you have a general idea and a storyline of what we're going with. So, oh, thank you, Tawana. Appreciate that. Tawana's watching. Hi, Tawana. Everyone say hi, Tawana. Let's see. We had to delay some of our early crop planting in the spring. Should we use, we could certainly use some of that rain there into southeast Indiana. You'll get some of that. Sheila, is it Shyla or Sheila? Sorry, I can't see the whole name there. I think it's Shyla. Hopefully you'll get at least a good quarter to half inch out of this setup that's coming our way tonight. Otherwise, all these other rain events I just showed you, whether it's Saturday night, parade day, next week around THURBY, these are all relatively light rain events. So they're not going to do much. I know anything will help. I totally understand that. But tonight's event is by far the heaviest that I see in the 10-day right now. Steve, is it ever going to warm up? Yes. July. We're going for July. That's the game plan. All right, guys. I think you all are in good shape. At least I hope so. Oh, Johnny, why has it been so dry? You don't have a south wind, Johnny. If you don't get a lot of south wind days coming from the Gulf of Mexico, you don't have any moisture in the air to work with. It's all Canadian air, and that keeps us cool and dry. Warmer air holds more moisture, so we've got to get the thermometer up is step one, and then you can start to add moisture to the air, and then you get rain and thunderstorms. So we'll have some rain chances, but it's not overly the best. All right, I'm going to stop it there for now. I got to get ready for the midday show, and let's just see what happens here, guys. I'm going to get more data on the weekend stuff and next week, but I assure you that we've got the entire team constantly staring at weather models. We may need therapy after this, and we're trying to figure out how this is all going to play out because it's a lot to look at, but I promise you that we're on it carefully. All right, so stay close to the Wave Weather app, stay close to the forecast changes, and we will keep you updated.